All right. Hi. We're going to be going over our setup a little bit today and just explaining why we're doing everything. So in this room, we have our synth, the Moog, we have our bass set up, bass over there, our bassist over there, and then behind you we have our guitar, and then if we take another 180, we have our drum kit, and this is all in one room, because for the most part we can just track our guitar, bass, synth, etc. Without any interference from the drum kit. But then for the vocals, this is the fun part. We threw me in a different room, and so my computer for any lyrics we need, it's lower. Then the mic itself, we closed it off a bit so we didn't get as much bleed from the drums. And then if you want to see something really funny, come through here. This is where we have the guitar amp, and then we mic'd up the guitar amp over here, again to reduce the bleed as much as we can. And yeah, that's essentially what our setup is. We close all the doors, block off everything, quiet all the children.
And this is the way we've been doing it for Angel in the Sand. This is the first one we've done all the tracks together. So previously Gabe and I had been doing drums and bass track together, and then we would separately come back and record.
Hey, we're here in our little makeshift studio, and we have been doing a little bit of recording today on one of our songs, and we decided to take a little bit of a break to do a budget analysis and a plan for the rest of the semester. Yeah, Nick, if you'd like to...
So the plan is we're going to have all of our home studio recordings done within the next few weeks here. We're going to send those off and get them mixed and mastered by a freelance audio engineer, which is going to end up being one of our relatives, but regardless. And then get those mixed and mastered up by a professional audio engineer.
And that way we can have that to compare to, so right. We'll go through and mix each track, and then have them go through and mix and master, not mix and match. Mix and master the same tracks that we produced in Gabe's dad's house, and then that way we can kind of get a little bit of a comparison of doing it completely ourselves versus doing the tracks ourselves and sending those off to a professional. Because we're thinking that might be a good middle ground for bands that don't have a ton of money, but they don't want to necessarily spend all the time in the studio and all that money. Yeah. So this is kind of a good middle ground to do the tracking yourselves and then send it off for a mix. So that'll kind of give us a nice A/B comparison with the same set of tracks that we've recorded here between a mixing professional and mixed by us.
And then with the remaining money we're going to have from after we get those tracks mixed and mastered, we're going to go hit the studio sometime in the next few weeks here. We're kind of still deciding between two options right now, studio-wise. We're going to be talking to them this week to decide, finalize who we're going to go with, and then based on that, get different rates, and we'll figure out how many songs we can afford to do in the studio. So yeah, we're looking to do probably about three.
Probably three, because we have 6 songs total, but we're thinking that for the purpose of the project and the budget that we have, we thought it'd be better to do 3 really, really good studio recordings rather than trying to rush in the studio and end up with 6 that might not be as high quality. So we're kind of doing a quality over quantity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's our plan. Alright, so I'm in my makeshift home studio. I'm recording by myself. We have a project set up, it's open, working on Dance With Me right now. What I've been doing is splitting up the rhythm and lead sections into separate tracks, and each of those separately into a single and a double track. So we have a rhythm double and a lead double. So 4 tracks of guitar. My setup right here is just I'm running all my guitar through my pedals into my amp, and then my amp is both mic'd and I'm getting the direct output, so Each recording has 2 channels. So in total, between all of the rhythm double, the lead, and the lead double, each of them having 2 channels, there's going to be 8 recorded channels total. So out of all of that, it gives a nice, really full sound, and also be able to pick out different parts we want to like emphasize, and like be able to adjust the volume and levels a little bit between the lead and the mic'd, the direct and the mic'd channels a little bit, because they do sound a bit different coming out at the end. Alright, so this is just to go through the guitar tracks that I was just showing you. So right here I've got 2 tracks open. I've got the rhythm guitar first track and the double track recorded for the verse, so that's the part of the song that has like a rhythm guitar part in it. You can see each track is kind of broken into 2 parts, a left channel and a right channel. The left channel being the mic'd output from my amp, so that's what you hear just like in the room if you're listening to it. And then the right channel is the direct output from the amp, the preamp out. And that does sound a little bit different, but that difference just like kind of, it just adds to like the fullness of the tone. You can adjust the levels between the 2 if there's one that sounds better than the other for the part that is being played. So you can see even just with one multi-channel track, a left and right track, we'll look at just the rhythm guitar one for a second. The first rhythm guitar track, it already sounds pretty good without any EQ or effects or anything. We're obviously going to add that later, but I'm already happy with this tone, and you can see that here. Alright, and then so if you add in a second track, so the double track now, it again just kind of does the same thing as having a multi-channel track. It adds to the fullness of the sound. I've played the part in the exact same way, so I'm not creating noise that would be distracting or sound bad. It just really adds to like kind of the fullness of the guitar tone, smooths out any defects in the playing. It makes them less obvious and just really makes it sound pretty good. And I've also panned, you can probably see there that I've panned the first rhythm guitar track pretty hard to the left, and then the second one to the right, so that when you're listening with headphones or with a proper stereo sound system, it's really going to be, you're going to feel like kind of immersed in the guitar tone kind of thing, rather than just straight down the middle for both. It's going to sound pretty good. So here it is with both of the tracks active that I just recorded. Yeah, so you can see that the tone definitely improved. It just sounds like a lot more full and rich sounding, which is good. Obviously, you want that. So I'm definitely going to be keeping up with this method, doing this method for all my guitar tracking throughout the rest of the recordings I do, and then that definitely provides a lot of options for later in terms of what I want to do with my tone. I'm going to add more EQ and effects and that kind of thing later. But I'm really happy with how this is turning out so far. So there you go.
Alright, so here's the kind of the before. You can hear that second part there, where he's kind of repeating is this. And since that's just kind of sticking out a little bit, we're going to add a little bit of reverb to that to kind of blend it into the mix a little bit better. So let's try it with this TrueVerb plugin. I just tried this medium plate. We're going to see what that preset sounds like. See, that is way too much.
Cool. So yeah, that just kind of helps it sit in the mix a little bit better and